Hello, hello. Yeah. 근데 개별로만 조금 감사. 다들이 아주 option 사버치 의고래. 다 단다데 외디 간래야 당 아주 대 최고 망부 친구의 액티비티 되게 대체 은데네 마치 공래야 당봉에 기란솔라 의기 모르르지. 술도 대시 얘기 디케사 두당고마 될랭 얘기 좀 준비기 option 의 테이블 값수 슛사비 인데 다들이 계속 기란솔 개별로면서 값 되도 다 즉 생각이 고급 중배이나 엔터인데 양자층에 맞듯이 얘기. So then 당쇼 코로네 티버디 즉 당보델이야 do you see anything on the screen? 대키란소 나군도 우치 통그레 you can only hear my voice but you can't see anything on the screen. So at this point, if I ask you why you can't see anything on the screen, then the most obvious answer would be that there is complete darkness on the screen. That's why you're not able to see anything on it. So but then if I ask you why there is darkness on the screen, then you would again say that there is no light. That's why there is darkness on the screen and that you can't see anything. So obviously that's correct. Now you can see a very beautiful picture of a Potala palace, a good morning picture from Tibet. And now as you can see this beautiful magnificent image of Potala palace, and that's because of the light that is falling on it. And if I ask you what would be the source of light, then you would say the source of light here in this picture is sunlight. Yes, it's very much correct. Now if I ask you, is sunlight a natural source of light or an artificial source of light? You would say it's a natural source of light. And on Earth, sunlight is the primary source of light. There could be many different secondary sources of light. For example, like if I say secondary sources of light nalaya nganjo karkarligrisena ta kiranzo ngobo khari thong deba de gedine yochi thoba de gedi secondary source of light ra primary source thing nganjo sun che. Thus sun the artificial is it an artificial source of light or natural source of light? Definitely it's a natural source of light. What other natural sources of light are there? Karikari yori shimba pena light from a bulb, light from a candle, stars in the sky. So these are natural sources of light as well. And also there are some animals that can emit its own light. We call them as bioluminescence. For example, firefly, we can see those firefly, they emit its own light, and these are the natural sources of light also. Semche sokcha semche nangla e nyuba diyo re rwa. Ta nga zo de we ko la mangbochi ke she sabre we sena khare tsobu di we sena khare slide. Ta nge de ruginda. Kesa ngoma dunda ngoma de la zre tube lop ti cheb kap songe de she gyabyu chung light define cheda mangbu yungure as per your knowledge and ability. So Sainik Batsola ya we ko la de she ge di ta chika neze tobo chika la de she ge twe di ta chik Neve chane lo gyada ngapchu chik chimbreta gyapchine. On the near about 150 years today chicken that chimbre rwa gyapchine. Nyeje da nyeja da ujre lo gyada ngapchu sudu shubuning ba dedike mare rwa. Ta tingwe do ba light sendu ta chik kotebu shu be na tagingwe da ya nge screen nakpo tendu sambala ya ani kiranzo ke kan thonyo marwa thong me gyumzen de kiranzo yo mendo shi shubro. Light it is something you can say it is something that helps us to see things. And what? It makes things visible for us. Makes things visible for us. Visible for us. The digital and digdwa. It is something that makes things visible for us. Then light is a ray. Dilane tigitu. The light you call a karikashing. Light is a ray. Why? Because it travels in a straight line. And the dinala ya sibi in ekranzo. De dinala ya. Activity digitoning on light travels in a straight line. Tagana shingi. Yang the dish don't be na. Dish don't be na. Di katu ngazo tongruwa. The pipe katu di shugu shaving a dinal. Katu tevin tongruwa. The pipe the net tevi na. I can't see anything because it's bent. Go to a cook to a ma. So which means near katu shavina tongdu I can see anything on the opposite side. Opposite end la kari shavina. Pajo chola ya cho shendilang carrying over the chazan tongdu. That's because light travels in a straight line. In this case, when the same thing is bent, pipe the bent in be na. Right? Yulam the kyo we na. Ani I can't see anything. Kekan tongmudu. The karchin to sena light medium chig na la ya. Yulam chig na la chimbe na öserdi. Ko 쪽에서 개요 말고 카두랑 두기요서 ko 쪽 투에기 누버디 매상 유름 찌기나라 어디 침배이나 어서디 침배이나 and ko 쪽에기 누버디 매상가 light does not travel in a straight line 체제 슈고래. So therefore light 를 누버 카드 캐쇼 카드나 유름 찌기나 침배이나 어디 카두랑 두에기 누버디요서 we can say light is a ray. Light is a ray because it travels in a straight line. Then light is an energy. Light the nushuchires. Kaisana speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. Dokshire. So ko yoku shush duguyo sanga ko gulguyo sang ko la yokse chuyo sang ko duguyo sang ko duguyo sang move chiguyo sang gulguyo sanga light the nushuchila ngunzu gore mixe gi nushu the kinetic energy wa light is a form of kinetic energy. So light the nushuchire dwa kinetic energy. Then light is a radiation. Solar radiation light is a radiation. Energy travel chitugre. Nushu di sajachik nichik la ya travel chituguyo ba. Di labgi gyun travel chituguyo ba. That di chasangaching azu radiation legir ba. Then tama dele ya light is an EMR. Electromagnetic radiation. Tamadelia. That tenza that sanipa samigita dishudiora light is an electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation. You may say electromagnetic waves and electromagnetic radiation and tigitu. All those sessions dushudegore. And in answer tata light ke share the tsundata madachton there the light sedu sambala. We are primarily talking about visible light. Not the visible light ke share. We are focusing ourselves on visible light. Light like electromagnetic light, the electromagnetic radiation ra. Electromagnetic radiation now there are different kinds of electromagnetic radiation. Rigmada yungure. Di nane chashi chungchuk dire chungchuk visible light. So visible light ding azu tong debut light dire ra. Kala dungi so dubsha gyogi. Tachik chaza ding azu kari tongyo the visible light. That reaching azu tong tugu mare. These are called invisible light. Also ultraviolet, infrared, radio wave, X-ray, gamma ray, microwave. We can't see them. So these are invisible light. What we're talking about is the visible light. The fraction of the electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation ki chashi chungchung chi galang azu tanda keshe diyor. And chashi chungu di kharire se na dire visible light. 7 colors ki söshaba. Color doing ki söshaba. This thing is called the visible light, right? 도시 당에 라이트 모드딩에 요거 쉐비 아니 로유기 톤에 마당에 용구레 카리카리 컨디션에 라이트 간야 투두치시네 게제디 램프레스 아니 라이트 데셰디 라이트 모디 the very identity of light, how it came into being. 독세션에 먼저마 데셰게 요레 직 로유기 톤에와 임베네 따테 주케빙에 데샤기 그냥 if you're interested 그냥 저 다자나 시네티그레 다가나시 두랑고마기 예즈르 tum베기 롭티 체브캅스야 호요콜라 디게 갈 컨섬스 데시자이 So 독세치네. 제 땅에 다른데 가수파비 주시딩 저기 진짜 개백가 나려야 이 가리강 슈긴스나 When light falls on an object, three things may happen. One is reflection. One is absorption. Light absorb chigire ngobdi tana shi thamatila it's refraction, you may say transmission, refraction. Chokto che doctor timpa chokto duk shechne ngobuchi gala öchi pobi na ani 다 가리 중그레스나 되게 숨도 중그레스 와 독세 다 다른 간수 내 당보도 있죠 아니 refraction 매와 다른 기초지 디간이 독토 체간이다 다 디간 체라야 예 액티비티 춘주체 독토 체디라야 나라야 당보도 디스 쪽이와 laws of reflection. Laws of reflection de dundango zinda dumbe kapsu chebi kiranso dele ya nge eya activity shimba chunju chechine tyong shawrba dele ya do shevina I've got a laser nge de laser chikiyurba okay so this is a mirror and nge dele ya protector chikiyu to measure the angle measure chelarwa nge ge protector chipechu tangi di thuche dire then this is a plane mirror shego the plane mirror re dok sheche shagi ange laser di beam the laser ne thön shabta ödi laser gi ödi ta dikana shego kana po chugi sia dene thick khap tu chya öde kya sevena e thick khap tu chthe shugu di na ya this is a normal, this is the surface re the surface che planes surface of the plane and the point of incidence the dire nge ta ge di and dikana ya perpendicular thick chthe do khatu ya angle 90 degree kan dilang en normal sigre ta nge protector the 90 degree angle chikal shagi in dok sessionerwa kya susia 90 degree angle chikal che dok sha sabje ta dene kra jungone di chebe ina shego nalo yo che ani protector chunju dine yo paren digala angle ta gyane measure chine degree ani laser di thomne se yo re kra jugumu thukjure ta dene digala ngege look this dimchina azu yaga ston도 라 도시네 다데 호 디사 디가스 다데네 앵글 치간 루긴다 데시야 아마 데시 요디 요비나 아워데 디사 도치나 땡안수 디인다 녜기 레저기 요디 데네 앵글 50 degree inda 0 10 20 30 40 number su sigyo na 50 degree angle chikan inda you can take any angle 40 60 any angle wrong e de angle 50 degree chikan la laser the point chechne I am the incident ray daily at the point daily normal dikala point of incidence kala phok chu ko ta thoda point of incidence dirwa dikala phok chu ginda now shego gala poch in any point of incident dene the reflect chigwa let's see the coil reflect chidu angle 50 rang kala de kinazo cho shin tebe ina da duk shebe ina de angle 50 rang kal chigidwa de angle 50 rang kala reflect chigidwa laser light de so kinazo sine degree and the activity chigre dunda ngoma de langege law of reflection proof chela ya activity shimba che chi if you remember kinazo the nyen to gon sin degree dinala yange cardboard dinde che re ba che songa da wan ra du ren shu couch kore ba dinde che ta de ngege khartung gi sina de ya angle di 50 degree che nge de ya nge deep page tangi inda ta de deep page tangi angle ngege khar nge shun senar wa what I have found is Dushe 50 degree angle kan la nge ki incident ray di sheko kan la po chu wing at the point of incidence dene reflect che di laser di sheko kan la melon di kan la po che ne di doctor che di angle khachu kan che su se na rancha 50 degree kan so nge de duk stigi inda figure di that is see that this is my incident ray lana light ray that falls on the surface. This is the surface, right? This surface shego gashte. This is the reflecting surface of the mirror and let's say this O is the point of incidence. So point of incidence de dire nge mark che de ta ja she let's say this is point of incidence O dire and this is the incident ray that falls on the surface and the light ray that get bounced off. So doctor chi jodi nga jo reflected ray lagre tati this is the normal che this is incident ray and this is your reflected ray, and this angle incident ray the normal ni gi pargi angle dila angle I shugre, in a reflected ray the normal ni gi pargi angle dila angle R shugre. Tange de di kan la chik tv na jansu those law of reflection na la this is the reflecting surface, and I've chosen a point of incidence. Let's say this is the point of incidence, and I marked it as point O. Point O, and at that point of incidence, I draw a perpendicular line. I'll draw a perpendicular line. Let's say this is the perpendicular line. But roughly. So let's say this is the perpendicular line, and this would be the normal. The normal chagre. This is called a normal, the line that is drawn perpendicular to the point of incidence. Perpendicular to the point of incidence is called normal. And now, let's say a ray is falling on the surface at point of incidence. Light ray, point of incidence, and this ray is called incident ray. Incident ray. A ray that is falling on the surface is called incident ray. And melon de galpovina ödi doctor chigwa doctor chechine ani ödi chir dux cheche pargi yuzanga tangi choba chigorda actually transo activity dagran chebina. Let's say this is the ray that get bounced off from the surface, and we call it as a reflected ray. Now this thing is important. The angle, you see this angle? This angle which lies between the incident ray and the normal is called angle I. And the angle that lie between the reflected ray and the normal is called angle R. So now what laws of reflection says, there are two laws of reflection. Number one, law of reflection this angle I is always equal to angle R. So activity, the laser activity, the chechene. Angle I the angle R ni the chikwa my measurement was 50 degree, and that's coming equal same. 50 degree 50 degree. So angle I the angle R ni 50 degree rachung. You can do the same thing and measure your own angles. This is the first law of reflection, which says angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. That's the first law of reflection. Angle I the angle R ni the chikwa activity that the chebe cups ya test yama angle ching yi kebar shot sibria dilaya kebar shogu yabina the error dilaya parallax like re mazu tatangi tone kebar dugore di chik cheche chidang chik pale guachre. This is what law of reflection says. Number 2, incident ray, normal and reflected ray at the point of incidence all lie on the same plane. So incident ray, normal and reflected ray at the point of incidence all lie on same plane. This is the second law of reflection. So we've got two different laws of reflection. These are the two laws of reflection. They can go occasion reflection nala. Reflection the divide reflection lana when a light falls on a surface, some light gets bounced off from that surface of an object. That bouncing of light ray is called the reflection. So then a law of reflection nitiyo and law of reflection kembachi. This is really important. Deche. Ta derda nibadela ngege types of reflection galtogin. Ta dengazu desia. Let's say types of reflection. Yeah, they in da. So the parning jobs tongu so reflection la ya rik ni yore tange titsaba cherwa tange deshto. Types of reflection. nivati joshi nivati types of reflection. So joshi tangbodi nganzo laws of reflection sasung. There were two laws of reflection. Nivadela nge types of reflection dugi so they give it so types of reflection nala ya specular reflection specular and diffused reflection. So I've got two different types of reflection, specular reflection and diffuse. Specular, you may say it's a regular reflection, and diffused, you may say it's an irregular reflection. So these are the two types of reflection. Now, as you see, the one that you see in the picture, rit thongudwa and digi naksebde thongudwa kiranso, and digi sunyendi ta kiranso chunal thongudwa, the reflection rikandechirila na. I would say this is a specular reflection. This specular reflection trait. Right? Ta par digi surchig la nge parti tenyu and surchig la digi nganzo ta öse chotan che rwa di nganzo ngokam sen na ta pa di remote on ma tenbe yina an tende ro shi tengu ta so nyen chatan che rwa image di chaktan chi nganzo mig la ya kandes thonggu me chikpa chikya thonggu do wa odi. That's a specular reflection. That thing I thanda ke sheginda. Specular reflection da diffuse reflection ni di pala keba kariyeme kandechila kogugure. What do they mean? When I say specular reflection, what does it mean? And what does a diffuse reflection mean? We'll come to that. Okay. Tadesia. Ngobu shikala ya hoji pawi na hodi chotan chirwa chu da cho chitan de da di karikala rali girila na ani ngobu digi chik jangsup kala rali gire chik che rwa chik kasigre chotan di kala chik che chu doctor chedang dil chik che ani ngobu digi jangsup kala rali gire. So dingi kan depend chil that the inge ton pa shube in the amount of light reflected by an object and how it is reflected is highly dependent on the smoothness or texture of the surface. Right? Condition doctor chikidu di sobuchik ngobu digi jangsup digan rali greshe. Let's consider the two cases. Right? Ball ni lane darwa. Chochil teve ina ball dig roughness the 0% reda. Cho shenchil teve ina roughness the 50% reda. Nge this subu suebri. And nija nala ya chik kasa reflect chedan the chik sida. Kebar doa roughness 0 dilaya more reflection the shukche mendube ödi chik point do thongudwa kaabu thongudwa ödi shukche reflect chigidwa ngajuk singbudi pajo chola roughness 50% di singbu yobdi yajangabju singbu chashabdi ani ngobdi ö thodan de chik doctor cheda de 대sam기 mendowa 제 지구할 때 독토 제장강 아주 뭐부디 통고할 때 이내 독토 제단디 강시다 케바도와 뭐분이기 장축 톤에 케버 톤에 아니 요새디 디 독토 제단라야 케버 쇼구도와 대책체 다 니자낭라 요새 독토 제단디 케버 두고 얼다 light reflects 제단데 갈이야 the amount of light reflecting on these two objects differs, right? Differs on the basis of the smoothness of the surface. But one thing that is common in these two objects is that they both obey the laws of reflection. ngobu nijagi jangsup la matebe ngobu nijagi taging kondong anjo laws of reflection jain ba angle I is always equal to angle R say jain ba ti dela ngobu digi jangsup la matebe ngobu nija na la ya laws of reflection nigagi follow chigre kelen chigre nijagi ngolen chegorda dele nija na la law of reflection ding anjo yo 중국어 레스제 쉐이 so law of reflection di tagi kondu jansabi di nenga chire da dene de öze choda chera light reflect chitan de denge point chen tönyo chiginal light reflect shukche chigido chiginal 대삼기 chigimendu di jangsup gi tone keba sho gore da dene apple di de bezun chire nga namgyune de ton de gore ro and de di this is such a dele and dele ya 대지 통디기도 하기란 속에 델레 디 사구델이야 light reflect shukche시기도 we call this as a specular 델레 specular reflection 디 중국어 and such 사구 심바도 와래야 와도다 퇴도와 술도 와래 양은 저기 아니 diffuse reflection 디 중국어에서 어디 대삼기 슈슈부 tro고 대체 당아주대 조그르바 다경에 디마시 대사비 타입 니디 당아주대 조긴다 거대부 슈베이나 크라니파기 케바디디레 다 약고 시아 버리디날이야 강기 돈이디 개봐도와 강기디 very smooth surface jambushta yore 봐 and walk it to the gogo dilia yip the chick pache is a gogo che what it is zingatua bad zingatua keba chimbutua chick be jambuche chick bad singbuche then take keba tone ani gangi tika the ngobu dila sida gogo dilia sphere the gogo sniting spherical like dilia sida dinangi ngazo image dike the khande 가 간삼 시장마 통구도와 디 코여기 눈에 유샤베게 제 강바디게 때 차장지 아주 코유디 가 간삼씩 아주 통투구도와 디 와드기 돌레들이 양아주 도딜이 양아주 통투구문도 고고딜이야 그 쟁탄에 통고 말봐 다디 아주 파 리모간라 파파과 시베이나 가르치네 찍이나라 가르치네 이미지 통투고래 찍이나라 가르친 통투고 말에 디파 리모간라 파 지가 신베나 데데도 치래 야구시다 In case of specular reflection, the above picture shows specular reflection. The one which is having a rough surface shows a diffuse reflection. Ni pala kebadi sida. In case of a specular reflection, 당에 데려야 remote 냠도 시티고로 봐. The dish 톱니다. Specular reflection. This is your, let's say, so specular reflection the khadu chungure when the surface of the object is very smooth. Diffuse reflection the khadu chungure when the surface is quite rough, it's undulating, it's very rough, smooth yo mare. So that's your surface which is very rough indeed. Now I'm going to draw the incident right. First incident light, and let's say this is my second incident light, and the third one, let's say let's draw over here. This is the first incident, second, so incident ray the these are the incident rays. That is point chidam korwa point of incidence dige 다 ngobu khari imbe ina research tobe ina dadi kachi grisena di doctor chigirwa doctor chebe kaps chedan disia chedan dilaya degi ngoye kondu chubi irwa ngobu ge 직 jamsu lama tobe ngobu khande shimbe ina ya 창매게 투몽기 가리케링 그랬으나 가린 냠낸 시그랬으나 laws of reflection 되게디 so laws of reflection 디 창매 ngobu 창나 탐제나야 아니 찍버치기한직 드로디그레 장줍라 마되베 so there imbeina yang 당봉 ngobu di jambu인다 this is a smooth surface right and this is a quite rough surface not a smooth surface so there yang a law of reflection follow chigi for that I need to draw a perpendicular line which is no it's on the 독신다 law of reflection follow cheche dunge de normal chtigura let's say this is a normal and it's so much together. I'm drawing a perpendicular line in all the cases. So this will act as a normal. Let's say these are the normal n, n, n. These are the normal for these incident rays. And similarly, delta v na the surface diche, del surface dindishtua, del surface dindishtua. So nge del surface dil attachne ngegi normal tv na it will be like this. Right, surface dil attach ne TV na perpendicular lines tigura. Let's say this is the normal, and surface dil TV na perpendicular lines TV na. This is the normal. Doshini surface dil attach ne perpendicular line the khatu 90-degree angle gal cha tigura. Dil TV na perpendicular line diche. Dil TV na perpendicular line di so normal dosti tang anjo ki law of reflection ki khala gore what is this angle called? If this is incident ray and this is normal, the angle between the normal and the incident ray is called as angle I, right? And this is the angle I, this is angle I, this will be angle I, the angle I chagirwa, the angle I chagirwa, the angle I chagirwa. Tangege laws of reflection follow chiginda. What does law of reflection says? Angle I is always equal to angle R. Tagiran should sabi. Tadela follow chiginda. Case angle I d imbeina. Let's say if this is 45 degree, what should be the angle R? Angle R has to be 45 degree, right? Because both has to be same. Doksinda. Doksinda. So angle I the angle R ni di chikpa imbe tonerda. Chikpa imbe tone ödi karşıgire dotro chigir. Reflect chigir. So we are following, actually we are following laws of reflection. Here also same thing. The angle I the 15 degree do chimbe na. Angle R di karchungure same 15 degree, right? If we are to follow the laws of reflection. Like this. If this is 10 degree, then angle R has to be 10 degree. If this is 45 degree, angle R has to be 45 degree. See that? So they'll see that. Kevar khardu. Specular reflection direchil sigir. Diffuse reflection direchil sigir. Mobuki roughness tone kevar rugor. Di yimbache yongrache. Tang anzu rimona tevi na specular reflection nala. Look at these angle I and these angle R. See that? Specular reflection nala incident ray dikiti parallel ray dwa mase. Diffuse nala incident ray dikiti parallel leb gorta to shishne. Ta ine di ki surface ki roughness na smoothness la kheba shobe ki reflected ray di chiko martwa. Niga nala common karsha incident ray dikiti parallel che. But look at the reflected rays. Reflected ray karsha kheba minduwe. Specular reflection nala the reflected rays are parallel. Reflected ray dikiti parallel martwe. Redwa parallel line dikiti sida. These are parallel. They are karsha reflected ray dikiti. These are they parallel? These are not parallel. So kheba diyor. In case of a diffuse reflection, the angle of reflections are not same. Angle I chikpa imbe ina ya angle I digeti changma ta chikpa redwa changmal chikpa reda dela ya angle I changmal chikpa redwa, but angle R di kheba rugutwa light the reflect chedang thone kheba rugutwa, they get scattered. To do shevi ina light gets scattered thor rugumundwe dela ya light digeti parallel rugutwa. The reflected rays are parallel, dela the reflected rays are not parallel. Chik pha chi bena chik ya chin chine. So ngajo megi thona la ya ani megi tadu sambali ya ani light sama thor rugor mangbu chi ngajo meg la ya ngobu digine khari light reflect che sha yud sama ngajo meg la nyop thugo ma lep thugo ma tishine chik kharsigre dina la ngajo image di sebu thonggo mare shala jambu ina image thonggu do ngajo 강기 ceiling 다 되게 강백이 다 예언이고 창마 통구도 앞에는 얘기 대표 중까지 디날 유 specular reflection 디디 체르와 등아주 this is a specular reflection 추나 통구도 강백이 다나시 these all are specular reflection 다 됐시다 디케바시다 추나게 메도디 찍디 specular reflection 레 지카스그레 image 배상마 통구레 년들와 찍게 디창마시라 통구 말에 디나 시비나 ngazogi nyen di changmashra thonggu mare chudi nala ripples form chiyo cha labdi chu nala labdi gengi ani chik karsigre chugi chik khato chiyorwa di ita chik karsigre jambushra ma chungpache ko labdi gengi ko jingbu chabre and the gengi ödi doctor sheve kapsu chok thamjela doctor chigor. The reflected ray moves in all the direction. It gets scattered. So that's why we are not able to see the proper image of the flower in water. So keba dire chikdi dele yoshabdi manzo cho dile yoshabdi specular reflection che cho di ki image di sangmashrat mathongbati diffused reflection che shugre de parti sumna sidarwa sumna la ya tangbudi nala ya the image di yangla gi medi changma shu thonggu do wa ngajo chudi ngazoge surface di smooth shibu yosanta that niba disida small ripples chedwa ti lab di ti ngazo disturb cheda chuna doch yube na ko ripples wave lagirwa lab di choysa lab di nyunyu chunchu choysa nyunyu choysa ngazo di image ti chik and larger ripples now la and the lab the chumbu shuchi chavi na and tuk jam tuk sa and the that kind of image the changma soda ma so le di ngobu di jangsup la kheba dugruwa oduk shechni so specular reflection da ani diffuse reflection ni di pala kheba di kranso de ngede remote si da ngazu di la remote la ya Venn diagram la ruwa kheba di sia Keba khardo specular reflection se na khawala chungudu ngobu conditional chungudu it take place on a smooth surface surface jambu shu den de ya specular reflection di chungure diffuse reflection di dokchore if the surface is rough then diffuse reflection aka chikche keba tangbodi smooth surface kan la chungya chikta rough surface keba niwadi reflect chedan light reflect chedan di angle chikpa kan chigdu bela na chigimendwa delaya in case of a specular reflection the angle of reflection is the same in case of a diffuse reflection the angle of reflections are not same the angle ni bal kheba dwa if this is 45 degree this isn't 45 degree the 45 marawa the maybe say 10 15 20 could be any so then the angle of reflection la kheba dugwa so de la nge kheba ni bad khathiola na in specular reflection light gets reflected at specific angle la na same angle la angle chik kan light reflect chigor that's why we see the reflected rays as parallel reflected ray the parallel dosh thongor dokshine the reflected rays appear parallel because the light get reflected at same angle specific angle particular angle chik kan reflect chigor in case of a diffuse reflection this isn't so light gets reflected at different angle the angle 45 degree kan reflect cheyna the angle the maybe 15 degree kan reflect chere then the angle of reflection la kheba dugu sa the reflected rays are not parallel mardwa look at this reflected ray and this reflected ray are they parallel no they are not parallel why they are not parallel because their angle of reflections are not same they reflect at different angles this way ta niga phalaya tumungi keju gario lana ki de shishabatirta they both follow the laws of reflection niga nangla law of reflection follow chigor sida in case of a specular reflection angle I is equal to angle R we are following it in case of diffuse reflection also we are following the same thing which is angle I is equal to angle R so common thing is that they both follow laws of reflection this way now if you are clear with the types of reflection will move forward delia tharin delia ngajogi mixe gi zeda dumba pugu so sigi yobe na plane mirror na la keche shegi deago sia tharigi chego jinda dike chumse plane mirror na la image khande sugi yome zeda dumba ta gewat niga la ya pecho yo and tugo pugu so sigi yo na digore dige pen togure doshe tange laws of reflection inda tange de diga la ya so it's very simple I'm taking a cardboard it's very easy and I'm taking a white paper plain paper and let's fix it paper the shoe ka gujo ma the chidinda yago chene de chedui so de le ya ne dok chene ne shidile ya gi pinsu pai and ko tambu dirwa dokche tang ye gajirse now dosinda plane mirror this is a plane mirror and plane ngazu namgyun shego na don ta de go ba an shego na la don ta kap su ngazu ge nyen de shego na lo la tongyo de ni khande chire ba ri khande chire di kan la yang ngazu ta de tudu che inda so de nge gi shu di kan la tangbo ki de sha tik kap du chikyap let's draw a straight line at the center of this page dokshine tik kap du chikyap and nye de la ya dokshana the melon the shagi shagoti plane mirror is not a spherical mirror it's a plane mirror doksha masha khon la ya let me mark a point at the center and nye do shebin like keba me do tamashi do shawra kadurda nye tik jago gumzen de kezing ye gi lagbe gi gujo tebe na so that I can place it back at the same spot. So do she that ne I'm going to take the help of this pin pinch lengro ange pin de lench na ni del zuginda pin de do was sugro do straight simple 땅에 같이 그랬으나 대야고스야 쉐고딘 알타에르와 쉐고딘 땅에 앵글 가완 땅에 디그리 개바면도 네 쉐고딘 나올 때비나 빈디 통그레 쉐고 나올르다 쉐고 나올 캬즈 통그 주리 아니 빈디 간에 카두 미기 들치네 네 택신디 카두 샤긴다 택신디다 택신디다 난기 쉐고 나올 통샤베 빈디 카두 니디 카두샤 아니 카두레도 삼나 크란소기 샤뉴기 택시테 you draw a straight line with the help of a pencil right 또 세네로와 카두체 and if you think it's a straight if both are straight then you draw a straight line the line the dogs 카두 치체 빈디 바도 투고에 지르다 빈디 바도 카두 투고에 지소거다 기랑기 다 되네 양자 this sur드네 식다 again you keep your scale and you draw a straight line dogs 세치네로와 티카두체 다디 핀 두 카두 피 핀 바도 드레지 두기요 바치 남바치 거다와 안디 카두 두 삼나 아니 키랑기 야 텍스트 도스 텍스트 다도스 리그 당아서 같이 해르세나 다디 차브르와 다디 파샤 secure the mirror 당아서 같이 해리 다요스야 델리야 텍야단디인다 독신다 틱 다기 틱 예여셔와 디틱신기 링부실레 틱신 링부치유나 야가요레 카두샤 틱 яб요디 키랑기 또 카두칭 데라 디바도 되체 셰고 샤사기 참디 바도 되체 데네 다가낭신기 디틱디야 또 카두 되체 또 카두체 참디 바도체 안타기에 펜키레 펜치 쭉소아 띵에 쭉교디 데타디 두아 닝에 데 고르타치캡 따인다. This is where we keep the object. We kept the object. Now, dikhare se na ngazu shego shasa dirwa. This is the mirror, plain mirror dirda ngazugi. Ta kira dipin tsuksa di. This is the object, position of object. Rango digi nesa di dirda. Imagine that this is you, who's standing in front of the mirror. Di kirangi nesa di bache. Shego dunla kira melon di tagirwa. O melon di ki dunla kira lang di bache. Ta ngajir se na. Ta ngazugi. Siya. 뚝 시시인다. 택지 카두시티. 디드 포인트 딩이 parleya. 어디 봐. 뚝시. 다 디드 딩이 parleya. 틱 카두시티. This is a ray diagram. 땅 아주 가르쳤을 때 W 소루체 니네 캔수 때문에 M도 차기도 와. 당에 대시캡이나 the object와 object. This is you who is standing in front of the mirror. Even though you are not luminous object, you are reflecting the light. Let's say this is the light that is coming from the object and is falling on the surface. Shegogi surface kala forward. Let's say this is the incident ray, right? And they are incident ray. So these two are the incident rays that are coming from the object and falling on the surface. Surface kala ya fall chiye those. It's falling on the surface. This is the incident ray and it is falling on the surface. So both of these are the incident ray, right? Tanganzo kachikre sena. I'm going to draw a normal. When we know how to draw a normal, dikharre point of incidence. Tingi dikharre points of incidence. Let's say O dash and O. The point of incidence tagarhan la ya normal thia ina perpendicular chigurwa ani tenge perpendicular chiginda D di khatu chine. This is 90 degree. I marked it, and dinia khatu chite. This is the normal, right? Ding anjo normal rita. In normal chik thi. Let's say I n chikura normal che, and let's draw another normal for this. Subserve chini da. Tadene 90 degree kan la ya lebe de mark chi perpendicular line re, and then ye khar chebre normal ni bade TV. This is another normal, right? And the langegi n dash lan chiu. Tadene do chigre wa kiran la ya remodi. Incident ray che, point of incidence ni di che, ni di du spot ne ani. Doctor chiswa doctor ande ni di w dir. Then a normal T, point of incidence de la normal the perpendicular 90 degree angle kan khatu TV, de la normal the khatu TV. Tang ajo de khari follow chigor lana, we are following the laws of reflection. Incident ray the normal ni ki par ki angle de la angle I shugre. Reflected ray the normal ni ki par ki angle de la angle R shugre. Chikpa chikyan de la. If this is incident ray and this is normal, the angle between the two is called angle I. And if this is reflected ray and this is normal, the angle between the two is called angle of reflection. We are following the laws of reflection. Now look at the two reflected rays. This reflected ray, I would say R1 and R2 reflected ray thangbo, reflected ray niba. Similarly, incident ray thangbo, incident ray nipalan tiginda. Just to create a difference, right? So look at the two reflected rays. Reflected ray thangbo dida, reflected ray niba nidi. Krani tugu duwe. Tugu mendua, krani kate duguwa, tugu mendua. Tangazo karchiere, tuguyal che du, manzogi karchigre, gyalol paki duginda. Tade, siya, ende duginda. We extend the ray backward. We extend the ray backward. The activity the sambe gi chitue chire nangla kiranso shugu kawish tabshi tayare cardboard ne kawaii ne tabshi chungure and then kiran pin chig rasuna digore de pin den de goyo ma kiran cell tape gi fix chine digre pin chig chuna digre kap ragru nangla kap de yobeche. That is it. Look at this. The reflected ray di tugu metsange gyablo paki duginda. Look Yellow packaging. Reflected ray did reflected ray need the tugu metsa I produce them backward yellow packaging be. That yellow packaging be na samsil tugudwa. Took some del touch gap. Ange kachire. If the point the object the A can shayna, let's say this is A dash. That they took sa del karsugure image sugure image. Tigdwa Tanganzo karchi lana tadi dirda ray diagram re. Plane mirror nangla image khante sugu du dig ray diagram re ta di khala nganjo keje she chugur keje len chugur khare khare re sena tangbo dele ya ngegi dene ma tik khap to stiginda ki dene ma tik khap to stigi doksi ki dene ma tik khap to stigi object na image ni gi parne ma tik khap to chik parne ma do Ta dela ya mirror gi center dirwa and let's say nge dila p lan tigi p lana pole lagorda mirror gi geometric center dila pole lagri p o l e pole namjune. So this is the center of the mirror which we call pole. Ta nganjo kharchi yarela na image di khande do chiresha image di reflected ray ni de ngone thangne gi thuk chene intersect chene intersect chesu chemasu kinazo remote na sebo thongur. Look at the two reflected rays. Are they actually intersecting? No, they are not. They are not actually intersecting. They are diverting. They are going away from each other. They are not intersecting. Intersect lan tugwa. The two reflected rays are not actually intersecting. But when we produce them backward, so it image chigla ta de image kwa sober lan de sober ngazu gyablo pa kitchen be na tuksam de la image sober ta tinde image chigla khari shugre se na virtual image lana khande chilla gore when the two reflected rays are not actually intersecting one tangne gi thugi mena ani image soba dila ya virtual ligre pena dela ya reflected ray ni di one tangne gi thug mason chik di chola dugudu chik di chola dugudu nija khatel dugudu mashi thugu mendwa ngosu thugu mat sanga any image soba dila virtual image ligre so nganzu gi melong dongbe ta sa gi namgyun tu ne melong ta sa di ngan ta we kap so nganzu image thonggu do nganzu gi nyende shego na ya melong na di thong shab di nyen khande chiresna virtual image sigirtilaya it's not a real image cheswa real image sena screen kala sötwe yugo unegi reflected ray di tukchene image sugo na telaya real image later tande chala image söshava dikharela na virtual ray kaisna the two reflected rays are not actually intersecting di sevshogure so virtual image di da real image ni pala kebar den dechi ungure tangegi kharichwe sena delaya 단 이버텔라 아주 리모트 티차버다 당 아주 같이 할스나 distance measure cheve나 페나 데시다 mirror ki center ne cheche object par ki distance measure chida nge de ngarang ga di measure cheveina 5.3 cm usli it's coming 5.3 cm 5.3 cm dikhare object ne mirror ki ne cheche object par ki distance dire mirror ki ne object par ki distance di 5.3 cm 당한조 image 라타긴다 mirror ki kine chechene image par ki distance di khazore shas let us do it once again so dete veina it's near about 5.3 so I would count it as 5.3 5.3 the 4 paru do wasili ki turwa so the day indo dene kharishens lana the distance of object from the mirror and the distance of image from the mirror are same dig distance ni di chikpare shas plane mirror nala image ki kheshu ta thiginda image formation joshi sumbadi image formation in a plane mirror shego tete right flat mirror di nal yang azugi image khandes image ki quality shedi ansho de la ya kharisha image di khandechire shasla na de la ya the two reflected rays are not actually intersecting thugumindo angone thane ki thugumindo a ngone thane ki thugi mena any image so shawa de la ya azugi virtual image so tangsho de la ya nature of image di khandachire shasna plane mirror nala the nature of image is virtual it is not real virtual kharchin shubre because the two reflected rays are not intersecting thugumindo intersect lan thugumindo tang azu gyablo phaki be na kangte ne thugwa söswa ngosu thugumindo wa thugwa söswa gyablo phaki chinte o tende image la virtual sig virtual imba 참체 로 셰고날 따베 나 아주 당 아주 신소아 셰고날 따베 나 멜로날 따베 나 아주 직니에 대한 수국에 수년 통해 디 가르샬라나 셰고날 따베 나 that's there's chance 셰고날 통으로 봐 카도르도 봐 virtual 봐 셰고날 통교디 단단한 아주 데 레다그램 팀바 image 디 virtual 봐 virtual imba 창말로 셰고날 따베 나 아주 수구 듄 셰고날 따베 값수 멜로날 따베 값수 아주 수구디 카도 통구도 마시 우르둔로 통구문도 봐 so virtual 탐제로 image di erect imba kyabre wa erect virtual ina erect imba kyabche dokchen ta nibuji karshenso taki ngege distance di ringse di wa ngege measure chidu sambali ya che gyadu samba kharinye sunlena distance of image from the mirror is equal to the distance of object from the mirror redwa from the mirror dokche kandange dodu shuvena v is equal to u lagor v lana image ki distance che u lana object ki distance dila shugor that's the distance of image from the mirror di kesi di object hina mirror ne object par ki distance dila u shugure mirror ne image par ki distance dila v shugure distance of image from the mirror v che distance of object from the mirror u lagre distance of image from the mirror la vi and they are always equal same che sumba de la chik kesi tanda de la karne so nge point re to point dot ya so image ni an dot rang na left so that means the size of image is equal to the size of object dir subu nya melona kya subu teve ina melona la kira chimbu shu den tonggu me do chung shu den tonggu me do kira gi subu ge ring se khari yob tak ta tonggu do so size of image is equal to the size of object nge de la hi is equal to h alternating do height of image height of object they will be same dekhe chu sumbati che ba ta dene check ngajo ge dia yungure karsa shego nal tevi na pena di shego nal tevi na da ngege let's say this is a plane mirror right this is a plane mirror ange dun launch ngege right hand kyang ba ina shego nane kharchigidu shego nane chu tange digi pena nge dux pata du sambala dingege right hand chagruwa chu tange digi dux kyang gidwa so that means left hand chagudwa so object gi right hand di image gi left hand chagudwa diliya nganjo gi lateral inversion sigir lateral inversion so shiba julaya tonsenga shiba dikhalchegre image is laterally inverted kharsego laterally inverted sena laterally inverted se na object gi right hand di image gi left hand chagres rwa duk chigidwa shego na ta be kiranso tarinta drwa so de kharchin chagorasena image di object gi left hand di image gi right hand khadu chagirlana kesi image di angle gyad geju kan rotate cheve if the image rotates at an angle 180 degree then only the right side of object becomes the left side of image so this is what happens there lateral inversion there the object gi right hand the image gi left hand chavati tetida pena this is left this is right adi ngegi di right che di left da di right cha so ta kharcha di choti right re da ngegi right dir da di choti ngegi left re da ta shego nalta tu champal ya duk shagruwa duk chadu champal ta dekhallesu koga ji left cha maswe so nge right di image gi left cha maswe so di chata di kharchin chabre di ta da angle khazu chi kan rotate chis korage di 180 degree kan so this on sa ani object ta image ni gi cho ni di gyuba du gore so dende chi langa zo lateral inversion sa image is laterally inverted so de tharing an zo khar cham presena light ngode do du chi chebi dene ngobu chi kan la research pobi na and dilaya thola khari gurugres khari chungures lede and delaya what happens when a light ray falls on an object three things will happen reflection absorption and reflection sena öde doctor cheberwa chu chir do badirwa dabbadirwa the absorption na thim badire thim chene ani the light energy will be converted into heat energy che dene 타마델라 refraction 나나 촉토 셔야 돼 당 아주 줄을 깨질 리그래와 어디체 다 다른 아주 저거 디숨나네 가리간을 깨셔비나나 reflection 갈 아니 reflection 세두잠발이야 고된디체 아니 되네 reflection 라야 리카소에 메니딩에 마르시 갸비에 specular reflection 다 diffuse reflection 니 발라 케버체 고된디체 되네 디젤의 양에게 reflection 나네 laws of reflection 직 티에 law of reflection 가져요스네 니여레 angle I is always equal to angle R 체 and incident ray normal and reflected ray at the point of incidence all lie on the same plane the law 니 디테시 갸비에 되네 타마텔라 가져게 dinala image formation in a plane mirror nani kyangege plane mirror nala image ngaso namgyune shego ta de gore plane mirror nala ya ngaso ge pyeje tang de gore ba imbe in image formation gala ya ta remote gala ma tentu sambal tende do chi tang de derinde kiranso zichala sangma ta de shiwere ra de bishte re kiranso tabshe chechne ngosu di chedarwa dige de message karga ani you will know that the image formed will be virtual kainsana virtual image ki kodon de tarin de shen yorda yema tv virtual image na image that is formed when the two reflected rays taring ajo melong ke shedu I will only speak of the word reflection virtual image na when the two reflected rays do not intersect Virtual image is an image formed when the reflected rays do not actually intersect. Ngosu tugumeza. O dindegi kapsu ani chungbeina and the kapsu image sueshabdila virtual image like rays and virtual image the katuina erect ray. Kirashego dun launch tada. Your image will always be erect, never be inverted. So that's erect, virtual and erect. And tichela yegi distance I measure chibe I measure the distance of object from the pole of the mirror. Pole means the geometric center, and also measure the distance of image from the pole of mirror. So when I did this, the two distances are coming same. So which means V is equal to U. Image distance of image from the mirror is always equal to the distance of object from the mirror. That's the second thing, second characteristic of image formed in a plane mirror. And the third thing is this height of image is equal to the height of object. Object ki height na image ki height ni dikha duna chikpa ligre de kira shego nalta be na kira gi sugu gi ring se di chikpa chikyan thong di ring out thong mare chung thong ta ba thong mare kesi nge gi plane mirror di tabla if I curve it ta kira gi thong kebar tur image che jung la kebar tur if I do this way or this way the dish la a spherical mirror la if it is a plane mirror then this will always be the case. The Tamadela image is laterally inverted. That means the right side of the object will always be the left side of the image. So the image is being laterally inverted, and this happens as the image rotates at an angle 180 degree. Oh, dukshenani tari joshikadi get kavachi, drupai, antene julayani, ya, joshikachi tandul hayure, and the mamutu guins, and Jardunago cheroche, tojana.